The pandemic placed a spotlight on the digital transformation of the pharmaceutical industry, with innovation and production efficiency now literally a matter of life and death. But even with a global crisis as a burning platform, change management remains difficult. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that we need to put the emphasis not only in the innovation and the tools, but also in the people and how the people is going to use the new tool and how are going to create something that creates value for them, and if they really need it and if they are really willing to adopt it.
Rashesh, you have a similar view, I suspect.
The amount of digitization and digital transformation happen, it's unbelievable. It's like almost 5 years worth of work has happened last 10 months. So it is absolutely going really fast. And to do this rapid acceleration in transformation, people plays a big role. Absolutely. So how do we provide more information? How do we provide contextual information? How do we provide on the right device with the right context? That's what we call it, a performance intelligence. Add data, add information, add knowledge, all of them on their fingertips to make the right decision. So that's why we believe this is absolutely a very crucial time, and change management plays a major role.
I'm speaking today with Antonio Buendia, the Director of Automation at GSK Vaccines, and Rashesh Mody, who's the Head of Monitoring and the Control Business at AVEVA Software. Thank you both for joining today on Leadership Stories. I have to say, this is such an important time to be discussing this topic, because there's probably no other industry under more pressure or more important right now than the pharmaceutical industry. And this is coming at a time where we're seeing accelerating technologies, new ways of working, and really the kind of rebirth of the idea of the factory. So, with all that in context, I think it can be tempting to see digital transformation as just an issue of technology and infrastructure rather than one of culture and people. What's been your experience, Antonio?
Yeah, I think we use the triangle people, process, technology, but we need to start in that order: people, then process, and then technology, the latest one. No? So I think that the digital transformation is about producing new tools that are going to be produced by people and are going to be used by other people. I think many companies have started this from the technology point of view, and most of them are failing. So those that are putting the emphasis on the people, how to set up people that are able to create the tools, but more importantly, how to set up the right mindset, the right training on the people that are going to use the tools are the ones that are successful. We need to take also into account this tension between people, technology, processes, and normally there is also the common mistake, because people start or companies start with technology to put the IT teams or the automation teams leading the initiatives. I think that's a big mistake, again, because that's putting effort on technology. I think that this has to be user-driven, but with some tension, because if not, we can see, for example, what Henry Ford said: if I would have just listened to my customers, I would just have delivered a faster horse car. So sometimes the users don't know what is possible. So I think the magic is when we have hybrid teams, where we have users at the front seat, but also people telling them what is possible. And in that confluence and these hybrid teams is where the magic happens. No?
Mike, if I add just on top of it, if you look at it, I mean, really technology helps them connect people, site, systems, and all the necessary tools you need to make them connection. So what happens is technology changes every 4 or 5 years, but the machines and factories don't change for 20, 30 years. So the question is, how do we abstract from the technology perspective so that new technology keep coming, but the solution remains same, giving them more productivity, giving them more performance, giving them more agility? I think that's what the vendor like us from AVEVA side, this is what we really strive for. So absolutely, how do we connect people, technology, process, and number of sites is becoming very crucial in this digital transformation.
This is something really unique to the industrial sector, isn't it? Because it's not like the consumer electronics space where you're getting a rapid turnover of platform and product. The shelf life of factories, as you say, could be 50, 100 years.
Absolutely, because that's what we want to provide a platform so we can abstract everything out and give them a very standardized approach so that they can continue to operate on their processes, but things could change below it and without any disruptions.
I'm really taken by Antonio's idea that the leadership component of teams is important, that it can't just be run by engineers. So when you think about these new ways of working and leading, what have you seen, Antonio, in the last 18 months in terms of shifts in the way people in your team or elsewhere in your organization have changed the way they work, the way they collaborate, the way they create solutions?
I've seen a dramatic change in the how we work. No, so at the end, the human relations are the same, but technology has demonstrated, and I think that has been a big change, that remote work is very effective and you can do almost everything. So what you cannot do, for example, is establishing new relations. When you don't know anyone, you don't know someone, getting to know the person for the first time is much, much more difficult in the remote environment. Now, when you have already solid established team, established relationships, you can work very effectively. And that's has a change. For example, now we are considering much more than before having remote locations for new hires. No, so I think this is going to be forever now. So allowing this decentralization of things. Also, it's very important that you don't have the tendency to focus on very short terms. I think that we need to keep the strategic focus, but again, maintain the tension between having a holistic view, looking at the strategy, and at the same time cutting the strategy, and like the American says, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. No? So go for a tactical approach, but the tactical approach is the answer to a bigger picture. No, there are many companies that they want to do tactical items. Let's save 5% here in energy, but that is totally disconnected with the factory efficiency or with other. So energy efficiency disconnected from factory efficiency, disconnected from people efficiency. No, you need to have a holistic view. Keep on that view and execute in chunks. No.
Let's just drill down on that for a second, because it can be quite contradictory. People talk about agile teams, but agile wasn't designed for remote work. And you also mentioned high-level strategy, but often that can be at odds with an agile squad that, as you say, is very focused on tactical outcomes. How do you reconcile those sort of three paradoxes?
No, I think that you need to have a certain tension about that, no, because you cannot be in the trap of looking at the holistic view and then try to do everything at the same time. Sometimes people is very ambitious. That's very good, no? That the people is ambitious and they want to go to the Olympic Games in one shot. But I'm telling them, hey, before you go to the Olympic Games, you need to go to your neighborhood championship, then you need to go to your city championship, and then you need to go to your country championship. No, so you need to have a goal in mind. You need to have a direction, and then you need to do agile progress on that. The problem is that many companies do the agile, but they don't know where they are going. They go sometimes to the north, and then the next step is to the west, and then the next step is to the south. No, so there are normally what I see is a bunch of disconnected initiatives. No, so you need to see how to connect the dots. What is your goal, and how you slice that into pieces that you can do agile. So agile and strategy, if well understood, are not contradictory; they are totally complementary. No. I think that is the balance, no?
And Mike, if I can give you a couple of examples, right? Like we have done a major project with ADNOC, which is Abu Dhabi National Oil, where they put a completely panorama display, bringing 10 different business units data into one version. It's almost single version of truth. So that's a high-level strategy. They wanted to bring everything together, and with making decisions, they are able to save right now more than like 100 million every few months. So it's an absolutely digital transformation at a top level, and it goes to every business level. Same way for if you look at the Duke Energy, they've got a fleet of assets everywhere. Now they're connecting and they want to predict potential downtime or potential issues or potential areas of fault. How can I predict in a little bit ahead of the time so I can avoid some big downtime? So these are all technology pieces helping them do remotely, and they're using artificial intelligence, use cloud, they're using augmented reality, all Industry 4.0 key areas, simulation, it's really helping them to improve collaboration and providing right information to right person on right devices,
So when you think about that, new team structures, the importance of agility and also data and visualization, people are sometimes talking about this as a new form of lean or lean 4.0. What are your views on that?
I think that's a very interesting view. I learned about that a couple of years ago in a conference where they were talking about lean 4.0. And I think at some point, lean is about making things more effective. So digitalization is providing tools for making things more effective. So I think that if we can put the digital tools in the hands of the lean practitioners, we have the right symbiotic effect. No, there are some people from the lean departments that they see on the digitalization a threat because they think that is the new trend and is going to eliminate their jobs. But most of the people are very clever and they see another opportunity, another set of tools. It's not everything or all the time about digitalization. It's about improving the process. And then you have a set of the traditional lean tools, and then you have the digital tools. So I think the right combination, and normally I find that one of my best allies, one of my best partners, the lean people, the lean department. So I think that is a fantastic, if in your company you have these two groups working together, that's a signal of future success.
This brings me to the topic which I know you're a big fan of, which is the factory of the future. And at the heart of the push to reinvent the pharmaceutical industry is the opportunity to leverage digital infrastructure and entirely new ways of working to really realize a kind of a 21st century production model. What are the major challenges that we face with bringing that vision to life?
I think the factory of the future is a term that is very inspiring. And at least in our case, we are aiming to do two things. One is the traditional process automation. Okay, traditional, but still it's underutilized. Okay, there are many things to do to avoid manual movement, it's not about having lights out manufacturing or eliminating the operator. It's not about that. It's about eliminating non-value add of the operator. So we want that the operators use less their muscles and use more their brain. No? Today we have a lot of manual activity. So again, this is not about lights out manufacturing. This is not about eliminating the people from the factories. It's about eliminating the low value add. Okay, so we can do that with the traditional process automation, with robotics. But there is another work stream that is the data automation. So the first one is about making what we do today more effective. The second one is making new things that we are not able to do today, like better understanding our processes, understanding where we have the opportunities, how can we increase the yield, how can we shorten the cycle time, how can we predict what is going to happen in our process. And if we can predict, we likely will be able to change. So that is the data automation, and that is where we need to start again. It's not all about artificial intelligence. I think artificial intelligence, I'm a fan of it, but artificial intelligence is the last step of the stair. You have a lot of process before, a lot of tools like basic process visualization, basic KPIs, basic statistics, and then you can go to the artificial intelligence. So I think this is going to unlock these two topics, enable the operator, make the operator use their brains, not necessarily their hands, and unlock new ways of productivity that we are not aware today. No? Now, for that to happen, is very important because there is a lot of effort on the data. But sometimes, as we discussed previously, when the data is driven from the technology teams, we get a lot of data. The data is collected. For every 1 million of data points that we gather, there is only 20% that are used, and of this 20%, only 1% is transformed into something meaningful to the user, and of this 1%, 0% is really used for something positive. So, because at the end, we can have a lot of data. I can see a lot of screens, but what I'm going to do different? Again, we go to the people process technology. How is the process going to be changed? I now can see this dashboard in the screen. I'm going to do something different with that. If yes, perfect. If I'm going to gain some knowledge, but I'm going to keep acting the same, we are failing. No? So it's very important that the information is actionable and is changing the behavior of the people. This is about changing the way we work. If we have a lot of tools, but we work the same, that's a failure. No?
We did this exactly same thing, actionable intelligence and a factory of future with Schneider Electric. Schneider has got 100 plus factories. In fact, we did almost 70 or 80 different factories. We have rolled out this tool, which is lean, agile with information and actionable. That's what Antonio said, actionable intelligence is extremely important because data becomes information becomes knowledge becomes wisdom, and ultimately you want to do something with everything, right? When I see everything mapped, I want to send a message to somebody, do take care of this problem or whatever action I want to suggest. So last step to convert from knowledge to wisdom or knowledge to action is extremely important. In fact, we rolled it out in Schneider factories. We are working with a number of other customers like Nestle and a few other ones where they want to provide all the information to operator on the plant floor, everything with the context, financial information, the maintenance information, operation information, real time, with including engineering information, give the person all the available information so he can make the right decision. That's absolutely factory of the future is driving towards,
As we were talking about earlier, one of the unique features about the industrial sector is the fact that you often have very different, very proprietary systems and hardware which don't change very often. So, in order for this factory of the future to really work and this kind of data layer to be effective, surely standardization and neutral agnostic tools are actually essential.
I think that's absolutely essential. I'm a fan of standardization. And I'm a fan of standardization because I'm lazy. And the standardization means that I can copy and paste. So standardization means for me less effort and being able to copy and paste. And if everything is different, you cannot copy and paste. We have 10 factories. And then we want to, whenever we have some best practice or we define some standard, to be able to replicate and work one time, roll out or instantiate 10 times, not to develop 10 times the same thing, okay? You need to understand standardization. And in the past, the focus was let's standardize on brands and model. I want always the same brand, always the same model. And we recognize that for a factory in the US and a factory in Japan, maybe the vendors are not the same and there is no need, or maybe it's not positive to have exactly the same vendor because maybe a vendor that has a very good customer service in the US does not have not even good or bad, no customer service in Japan, no? So we need to be adapting to the local market. We are shifting from this model of brands and models to connectivity standard. So at the end, what we want is machines that are similar, of course, but we can standardize on the connectivity so that we can extract the data from the machines and we can create similar or equal metrics, equal information. So that's the way we want to standardize.
Here, actually, AVEVA has a very good track record for more than probably 30 plus years now, where when we provide edge to enterprise software, we have this called system platform. That's our key offering, which allows customers to abstract all the hardware and we create templates so that, as Antonio said, in maybe in Europe you're using the hardware devices from vendor A and Japan is vendor 2, we can create a common template which is standardize it, and that allows all of our customers to do horizontal integration and vertical integration. So it can connect to other systems. At the same time, it can provide connect, collect, visualize, operate, integrate, all different layers of software is fully available for standardization, because that's how you multiply the effects of standardization into templates and roll it out. That is becoming very, very powerful when you have fleet of industries, fleet of machines, fleet of pumps, valves. How do I save that engineering cost? And that's how we do it. And that's what we've been doing this one for the last 30 years. And it's been very successful at GSK, at many, many customers. I think we are absolutely very proud of that, the standardization and templatization approach.
There's another dimension to this I'd like to explore, which I think has been critical during the pandemic, because it relates to how we've had to reimagine training and capability upgrades. We've talked about remote collaboration, training, and other potential uses of technologies like augmented reality for some time. But suddenly, in the last 18 months, this has become an essential part of ensuring that organizations have had the right capabilities in place. Just because we haven't been able to do on-the-job training or come together in person. What has been your experience, both of you?
That's a topic that is absolutely crucial. So, and has been more important than ever during this pandemic, especially because there is the option of distance learning. So for the people like us that work in the office, we have done a lot of distance learning. We can read and understand, we can watch videos, etc. But the people that are in the shop floor, they require a very different kind of training. In addition to the distance learning, there is some part, of course, can be distance learning, but they need an on-the-job, on-the-machine training. And that has been even worsened by the fact that because of COVID, we have some medical leaves. So we had a more than normal rotation on the people. So we need to train other people in the manufacturing lines. So and that's today, or the traditional way is that you need the machine and you need the people to work on the machine. You need to be led by someone that is expert. You need the show and tell, and you need to watch that the people is able to do that and correct them or tell that is exactly the right way. So this is very intensive, and also this need the assets, this need the line, and this need the line to be idle. So the lines to train the people are a precious asset. So every time we stop them, we are not producing, but we need to stop them for training. And if we have a new rotation of people that has to be trained, you see where the problem is. So to give an answer to that, we are exploring new ways of virtual training, like Google Glasses that are directing the people to tell, do this, do that, or the use of simulators where the people, at the end, they will need to go to the real machine. But if they can do the simulator first, and the simulator is good enough, say maybe 80% of the work can be done offline, and then complement with the final at the real line, but we save a lot of time. So these tools, I guess, that are going to be more and more important in the future, and this pandemic has brought the need to use them, no?
And if I absolutely, Antonio, in fact, a lot of use cases, we are working with number of OEM producers. They create equipments and they ship it to equipments, number of factories, and their expertise sitting at headquarters, but they want to provide full troubleshooting knowledge to all their customers. And what they created was exactly using augmented reality. They can create and provide the full training and give them real-time help and say, do this screw or open this one, open this bracket, and fix the things completely remotely. That's absolutely. Second area also happening is collaboration and skill management, because there are a number of attrition happening on the plant floor and number of workers new coming up. How do you train them? So you build a simulation, you train them. Second thing, we also added a new thing called like a Facebook and YouTube. So it's almost like each employee take the video of their thing, how to operate a fork truck or how to do this thing. And that becomes a library. New person can look at it. He can see how many times he has watched the video, he's certified, and create a self-training. So a lot of new technologies coming, helping them simulation, helping them troubleshooting, helping them remote collaboration. All of these are really helping during this COVID situation. You know?
I like this idea of a YouTube for factories, but I think it's a really positive message, because you have the automation of processes, but you also have the automation of technologies designed to improve the capabilities of people as well. So you have both automation and elevation at the same time.
That's very important. That's very important, because now we are putting, for example, one of the things we are doing is we are putting today the emphasis on people capabilities, and we are developing a specific trainings for digital aspects. So we are training, and an important thing is that I think initially this training was focused on the technical people. Now we are training the users so that the users are able to adopt the technologies. No?
Antonio, your CEO at GSK has placed some very ambitious and inspiring goals around sustainability. What are some of the areas that you're already looking at now, and how are they potentially impact with emerging technologies?
Yes, our CEO has set the ambitious goals of being net zero impact on climate and positive impact on nature by 2030. So that's something very aggressive that we are actively working on. I think from engineering and automation, the area we are working is on energy management, CO2 emissions. And one of the first things that we are doing is measuring, because you cannot measure, you cannot improve what you don't measure. So we are putting first an initial emphasis on measurement. So again, we go to the general topic there, a lot of sensors normally distributed. Normally you don't need to add more sensors, the sensors are there. Even more, the data is captured, but nobody uses this data normally. So now the effort that we are doing is assembling all this wealth of sensors and data that are there, and converting into meaningful KPIs so we can understand what are our energy consumptions, what are the opportunities for improvement we have, what are the behaviors that we can change. Also, we are, and that's a major step that we are doing today. Also, we are creating some specific ad hoc automation. For example, we are measuring the particles that we have in the air and adapting the airflow, because now, for example, that is not measured, so we are always working like at the maximum, and now we are going to adapt the level of airflow depending on the environmental conditions. So there are a lot of things to do, but I would say the major emphasis is measure, take advantage of all the data that is available, understand what is the energy consumption pattern, and then act over it.
Helping customers is a huge emphasis on our side from technology perspective, because greenhouse effects, energy efficiency, reusability, and it's absolutely very important for our software stack, that how do we help our customers to shape sustainable future. That's absolutely true. And in fact, if I give you some examples, customer in called Henkel, and they use our software to improve energy efficiency. It's year-over-year efficiency they get it more than 15-16%. That's a huge helping them to create the sustainable part of their initiative. Similarly, Gwinnett County, this is in Georgia, where they utilize our Unified Operations Center, our number of our the technology. They produce and clean and manage water, wastewater, and delivery system to more than 1 million citizens. So how do you continue to have a sustainable future with this new technology, helping customers to improve efficiency, improve energy, improve the sustainable part of all their initiatives? And that's what we are really, really emphasizing from our technology perspective.
I guess if we pull this conversation together, there's really never been a more important time to reimagine not just industry, but particularly the pharmaceutical industry. And in many ways, the success of vaccines globally has generated a lot of goodwill. Where do you see, Antonio, the next horizon for transformation when it comes to manufacturing operations and really the pharmaceutical company of the future?
I see three major aspects here. The first one is the factory of the future, is all that we have discussed, is how to improve what is happening within the walls of the factory. There is a lot to do there. There is a lot of potential, and we are going to see a lot of transformation. But there are other two aspects that are equally important. The second is the integrated supply chain. So now we have 10 factories, and how these 10 factories are connected. Normally, one product is not manufactured in one single factory. One product requires 20 different raw materials, is made at least in 2 different factories, and then has to be sent to different distribution centers. So how we visualize, how we understand, and how we optimize the supply chain to be able to respond on time, minimize inventories, be faster, and respond to our customers, be customer-oriented, and be lean, okay? And the third one is the time to market. So normally, among many other things, we need to do the investigations in our R&D departments, and then we have there small factories with the small machines, and then we need to scale up and transfer to manufacturing. That's called technology transfer. Today, in most of the organizations, this is not an easy process, and it's not a short process. So if we are able to extend the digital platform, the data platforms across R&D and manufacturing, we will be able to do a much faster technology transfer, because we will have the same data. We will have an early product and process characterization, and we will be able to replicate. And that will mean, of course, a lot of advantage for the company, because the earlier that we can put in the market, the more revenue, but also is a critical, we are seeing in the pandemic, time to market is absolutely crucial. And the patients are there waiting for products that maybe they have been proven effective, and we need to be faster. So I would say that these are the three dimensions: inside the factory, outside of the connected factory and the connected enterprise, and how to be faster. So it's going to be a new wave of faster to market, efficiency, cheaper, and increased quality and productivity.
And Mike, from the supplier perspective, we want to make sure we provide all the tools to Antonio and GSK to achieve those three things we talked about. And so we want to really enable customers to provide the factory of the future tools. We want to provide better operational excellence. We want to reduce the downtime, improve the efficiency. Absolutely. These are what we strive for. And we are very happy to provide great partnership with GSK and all these customers. So thank you very much, Mike.
This has been a fascinating insight into digital transformation, not just in the pharmaceutical sector, but many other industries as well. So thank you very much, Rashesh and Antonio, for being on the show.